Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 2097A, and today's date is February 14th, 2020, and the title of the episode is Central Bank Panics. Judy Shelton offered a glimpse of draining the central bank swamp. Now, before we get started, let's talk about investing. With global stock markets gaining $17 trillion in value in 2019 alone, global stock markets have been on a torrid run in 2019, adding more than $17 trillion in total value. There has never been a better time in history to invest in the stock market. Trade Genius over the last 30 days has netted its traders nearly 91% on their money from spot-on stock and crypto trades. For example, Trade Genius issued a double buy signal on a PLG trade that hit 43% for the first trade and 11% profits on the second trade. Also a buy signal here on TLRY for a 33% gain. Also a buy signal here on Bitcoin at 8,300 for a 4% gain. Their binary option program overall record is now 168 wins with 12 losses, and cryptocurrency trades are up over 550% on the year. If you've never traded before and want to take advantage of these type of profits every day in the market, I urge you to sign up for one of many Trade Genius's online educational courses. Learn to trade stocks, cryptocurrency, binary options, perfect for yourself or a gift for a loved one. Right now through the month of February, you can save over 40% off their bundled specials and use promo code Valentines for a whopping 40% off all non-bundled items. Check out TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Tell them X22 Report sent you. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, Trump and the Patriots, they are planning out everything perfectly. Remember, timing is everything. And we can see how the new economic system is taking shape. And Trump is trying to put key players in certain positions. Now, we know the central bank and those people that are corrupt in government, they don't want this to happen. They're going to try to stop this any way they possibly can. Look what they've been doing to Trump for over, 3 years now. And we can see that Judy Shelton and Waller are two of his picks. And the Senate is grilling Judy Shelton. And we'll be talking about that a little bit later in this report. But first, Trump is deciding that he would like to give the middle class a tax cut. Now, he mentioned this before. He said he would like to have it in the year of 2020. And it seems that Kudlow is saying that, yes, we might be heading down that path where we'll be giving major tax cuts to the middle class. And what does this mean? It means that Trump is going to be putting more money back into the people's pockets. This is going to happen sometime in September. Very interesting. Timing is everything. Why do you think he picked September for the tax cuts? This is an election year, and September is perfect timing. The other reason he's putting more money back into the people's pocket is because when you have more funds, you feel comfortable, you feel good, and you spend in the economy. He needs to keep the system alive. He needs the GDP numbers moving up. Remember, the plan is to bring down the central bank system while building the new system. And removing taxes is part of it. And this is what Trump said. We'll be announcing it sometime in the next year, but it will be very, very substantial tax cut for the middle income folks who work so hard. And September seems to be the date. Now, Trump is doing something else very interesting. He decided in his budget that he is going to take the education funds and give them back to the people, back to the states, back to the communities. And when we talk about corruption, it's all over the place. It has to do with contractors, people who make certain books, people who get very, very wealthy on the system, and it has to do with pretty much everything. And this is actually a very good idea. Actually, the founding fathers wanted the local communities to dictate how their children should be educated. They didn't want it on a federal level. And this is why this is a really good idea. And the Trump administration aspirational 2020-2021 budget proposal would block grant and substantial portion of K through 12 dollars back to states, is an excellent first step towards eliminating federal meddling in local schools altogether, which President Trump has repeatedly said needs to happen. It would also be the only such step Congress has ever made, and thus their best move on education in a century. And he's going to reverse everything that we're seeing in Common Core. Everything was brought up to the federal level. The federal government was dictating how the children got educated, and trillions of dollars were being wasted. This is another part of the government that Trump is revamping. It has to do with the economy. Because if you bring the education back to the local communities and allow the parents to decide what's best for their children, the children will thrive. And if they're thriving and if they're learning, well, it just helps the country. It helps the economy. It helps everything. Now, we know that Trump and the Patriots, they are moving key people into positions. Now, of course, some people have to be nominated. They have to be approved before they can get that position. We have two of them, Judy Shelton and Waller. And the Senate Banking Committee, they held a hearing for Trump's two most recent Federal Reserve nominees. In one chair sat Christopher Waller, Vice President and Director of Research at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, who answered many questions. We also had Judy Shelton. She was there, and she was being grilled. So why the attack on Judy Shelton's record? Why were they attacking her so hard? Well, remember, she's a gold standard supporter. She criticizes the Fed. She is looking to take the Federal Reserve and maybe restructure it, bring it into the Treasury Department. And if you really think about it, as she's testifying, she's offering a glimpse of what it would look like to drain the swamp of central bankers. Now, did she come out and actually say, hey, I'm going to be draining the swamp and all you people are going to be gone? No, of course not. She's making it seem like she's on board with what they want, plus letting them know, yes, she does believe in this, but it will not get in the way. And this is part of the plan. Remember, she needs to get put onto the Fed board to advance Trump's plan. Now, Senator Richard Shelby, at one point, the chairman of the Banking Committee, was particularly appalled at the notion of nominating a Federal Reserve candidate so outside the mainstream. He grilled Shelton, and it included pointing out that the amount of gold in the world is worth less than the American GDP, and suggested that the gold standard was a product of the days when the U.S. was a barter economy. So do you think he's for gold? Do you think he's for sound money? No. He likes what we have today. He likes the Federal Reserve. He likes the fiat system. And remember, these individuals in government, they've become corrupt. How? It always goes back to the central bank. The central bank is like a credit card. And the credit card is being used all the time, and there's no limit on this credit card. And there's no accountability for this credit card, which means certain individuals can enrich themselves from this credit card. They don't have to worry about the interest rate. They don't have to worry about paying it back. They're just receiving the funds. Now, it might not be directly to them. It might have to go through different channels and get laundered and then come back to them. But they understand how this system works, and they don't want it gone. And we can see this is going to be very, very tough, because there's a lot of these individuals, yes, in the Senate, Republican, Democrat, doesn't make a difference. Remember, the swamp is made up of both of them, and we also have swamp creatures that are not even elected officials. But the whole point of this is that they're going to try to stop Judy Shelton any way they possibly can. Trump knew this going into this, that this was going to be quite tough to get the people that he wants on there. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely yes. Is it going to be Judy Shelton? Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't really matter at this point, because Trump has already accounted for this. Part of the plan is having other parts of the plan just in case the first part doesn't work, then they have a contingency plan and they move on that. A lot of times what Trump does, just like we saw with his first two nominees, he gives them these people and he knows they're going to be turned down, and then he presents the real people. Do I think these are the real people? I believe that these are the real people. And I'm hoping, I think we're all hoping, that these individuals get on the board. Because remember, Powell's time is ticking down here. We're going to need a new individual that is going to be in charge, a new chairman who's going to be in charge of the Federal Reserve come 2022. And I do believe the takedown of the central bank will happen after 2020, after the elections. And I think what Trump is doing right now, he's putting all these people into the right position to move on the central bank when it's time. And you have to place all your pieces and put everything in place before you can attack. And I believe this is exactly what he is doing. We've seen it with other things where they continually move things around. And we have to remember, timing is very important. Optics are very important. And Trump has to maintain a balance because, once again, the mainstream media is looking at this. Central bankers are looking at this. The deep state is looking at this. And there's a fine balance that he has to maintain to make it seem like, I'm not doing anything. There's nothing going on here. I'm not looking at the central bank, just like he's done with everything else. Think about all the trade deals. Think about the China tariffs. Think about everything that he has done up until this point. Optics are very important. And I believe the next phase here is to bring down the central bank. He's putting all the pieces into place. And Judy Shelton, as she's testifying, she's letting them know that she's with them, but she's going to go after them in the end. And that's exactly what we want. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.